Welcome to season 7 of Wellness as a Way of Life for Women Building the Future. I'm Megan Swan, wellness coach, consultant, and strategist, here to champion visionary women who are shaping tomorrow. This season, we dive into holistic wellness practices, mindset shifts, and real life stories from women who are leading change in tech, entrepreneurship, and beyond. My mission is to help you integrate wellness into every facet of your journey, so much so that it feels like a way of life. So you can show up as your most vibrant and impactful self. You can be a part of the movement by subscribing to my Substack for exclusive wellness tools, inspiring interviews, and a thriving community of future builders. There is a free and soon to be paid option launching this fall. And if you enjoy this episode, share it with a friend who's building the future too. Welcome back to Wellness as a Way of Life for Women Building the Future. Today's guest is a true visionary shaping the future of how we care for both body and soul. May Lindstrom is the founder and skin chef. Can't wait to drill down on that title. I love it. And CEO behind the stunning and transformative luxury organic skincare brand, May Lindstrom Skin. Since its debut in 2011, May has been celebrated in Vogue, W, Harper's Bazaar, the New York Times, Goop, and Town and Country, earning an enthusiastic following among those seeking deep, authentic connection through ritual self-care. May's approach is more than skin deep. She invites us to create moments of intimacy and presence, reminding us that our skin is not just a barrier, but an invitation to lean in and connect with ourselves on a profound level. We are very aligned. Welcome, May. So excited to dive in. And first off, thank you so much for the products you sent me. I'm obsessed and I can't wait to chat offline a little bit more about that. But I'd love to know, like, what was your skin ritual this morning so far?
Ooh, this morning. Thank you for the welcome, Megan. This morning, I'm getting over a cold actually, and so I've been a little snotty and losing my voice. And I was like, I'm gonna feel great when I wake up on Monday. And I didn't feel great, but I did the things that I know help me feel great. And so I did get in the shower. I have curly hair that takes 900 years to dry, even though it's short
That's
at the
great stuff.
moment. And so I didn't want to get completely soaking wet, but I felt like a slug. And so I got in the shower and pinned my hair out of my way and just stood under the water and let it fall over my face while I just massaged and opened up my forehead and my eyeballs and let the hot water go inside my mouth and spray the insides of my cheeks,
Mm.
which my face gets really tight. I have a tight head. And so anytime I can open up my mouth and let the water in, it's really helpful. So splashing around the water inside of my mouth, swishing my mouth open, massaging my ears. Wakes up all the circulation right away, and then taking it into the throat because my throat tends to get tight. Lots of throat massage and chest massage, and to make up for the not letting the water go all the way to my scalp, which I was regretting. I got out, I just have little Korean scrubby gloves, just the inexpensive little synthetic glove. And I do that in the shower, and it really gets the circulation going. And I feel sensation over my whole body, which wakes everything up and gets the blood moving. So that was my shower this morning, which I took actually in my kids' bathroom uh, this morning, which is a nice shake up too. I have a really beautiful bathroom that I actually often record in. Uh, but because I spend a lot of time in the bathroom for business, it actually can sort of feel
Mm.
like I'm working sometimes when I'm in my shower. And when I'm in my kids' shower, it's a little more like, okay, it's a real shower. Where's my body?
Yeah. So I highly recommend that you peruse your website. It's absolutely gorgeous. And you're the model, right? Like you're the one doing all of the videos, and it's like such ritualistic energy. And I can see like that you've probably, it's obviously a beautiful bathroom backdrop. But I love that you just painted that all out and none of it involved your product at the same time, right? Like those are all very thoughtful things that I think the average woman isn't doing in the morning. And, I
Mhm.
always talk about how you can create these micro Zen zones and just layer in a little bit more intentionality and presence in what you're already doing. And so I think we're very aligned on that. And I love you really gave some tips. And I think water in itself is the very therapeutic thing that we don't necessarily embrace enough in how we can just feel better by intentionally. Like I don't think most people would think to take some water in their mouth while they're showering.
Oh, but you're gonna do it now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then the next step up from that is you get your hands in there and you're massaging inside of your mouth and you let what was an outside job be an inside job. Um, because I mean, I get on podcasts and I have a skincare line, and so it's normal, I think, to expect me to get on and start talking about the blue cocoon. Um, but it doesn't matter what moisturizer you're going to use, really, unless you're me. Like my skin falls apart at everything, and so I had to do what I did. But most of your listeners will probably have found something that they like. Maybe they're looking for something that they love. And
Yeah.
maybe they'll find that in my world, and maybe they'll find that at the gas station, and maybe they'll find it at Target, and maybe they'll find it at some fancy department store in Paris. What I really care about is that you find your way to the water, that you find your way to the touch, that you find your way to the thing that feels good for you. And I've spent my whole life finding the things that work for me and building the things that work for me. But the part that's still hard is going, okay, I've got to record in 20 minutes. Okay, I've got to take that phone call in 10. Okay, I've got to get my kids out the door in 4. And still going, I do have time to pee. I do have time
So
to
real.
brush my teeth. I do have time um, to actually let the water hit my scalp, even if it means I'm going to have wet hair, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I can preach to the choir all day long. I can be in this world of wellness and care for the decades that I have, and I still have to deal with Monday like anybody else. And what I try to do really is that can I make this moment more beautiful? Can I make this moment more delicious? Can, I'm not going to slow it down very much. I'm not because I'm doing the slug thing, not the snail thing. And like, I got shit to do. And so I've got the same 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the shower as any other person. And so, yes, I'm using shampoo. Do I have to tell you about my shampoo? No. Yes, I'm going to moisturize after. Absolutely. I cannot let myself get saturated with water and not follow with oil. It's like the rule number one for dry, sensitive skin. Where there's water, there must be fat. And so there's these really basic things, and I can tell you about body oils because the best way to change your life is to have a really fantastic shower with a body oil that makes you feel like a sex goddess. Um, I think that's a fact. But yeah, it's mostly about getting in there. It's about getting in there. The water will do the whole thing, whether you've got 10 seconds or 10 minutes or a whole hour to seep in yourself.
So tell me, I mean, have you met other skin chefs, or is this like a self-proclaimed? I mean, I definitely derive like a nourishment, the organic, the healing, and also, ingredients from your kitchen kind of
Mhm.
vibe. But what does it mean to you?
Hmm. So my original background is in food. Um, I started working in restaurants when I was about 13. Started cooking as soon as I could pick up a spoon and turn on the stove. So food was always my background. And still a lot of focus on deliciousness, but also about getting out of the way, also about really honing in on simple ingredients the best. It's about sourcing, it's about simplicity, it's about if you're a chef, you can take 10 different chefs and give them all a chicken, a
Mm.
carrot, a potato, an onion, and say, go to work. And depending on uh, that particular chef and their vision, you're going to see a completely different outcome with that chicken, that potato, that carrot. Someone's going to make a stew. Someone's going to fry everything. Someone's going to make an art piece out of
Yeah,
the whole deal. And you can take the same ingredients and have a very different ultimate recipe from those same ingredients. And then
it's
you
true.
can go even
Yeah.
further if you factor in sourcing.
Hmm.
Where is the carrot from? Where is the chicken from? How fresh is it? Has it been frozen? Has it been shipped across the world? Was it grown this morning? Was that onion pulled from the earth today? These all make a big difference in food. My approach to the skin is exactly the same. I take ingredients from all around the world that have been grown and harvested with the highest level of care. I source the freshest, ideally this year's harvest, one maker um, into our space. And that approach has always been far more like the approach that I had when I was cooking than chemistry.
Mm.
It's it's less of what you imagine in a lab and more of what you imagine in a bakery.
Mm.
When you come into our space here in Los Angeles, about 10 minutes from where I'm recording right now is our kitchen lab. And you walk in and immediately you will smell the cinnamon, the cacao, the flowers, the oils. You will see a wall with a row of clays and salts and oils and spices and honeys. You'll hear the mixers going. You hear my team inspecting every little box, shining every piece of glassware. If you walk into the shipping department, there's handwritten notes being tucked into boxes. The level of high touch, intimate human care, it looks just like the most beautiful kitchens that I've ever worked in. And that's how we built our space. We built it from the ingredient up. The equipment is to serve the ingredient. Our hands are to serve the ingredient. My job is to get out of the way, find the best that nature has to offer, and then leave it alone. The same as I would with the perfect chicken, carrot, potato,
Let the
not
ingredients
different.
speak for themselves.
Um,
Yeah.
so the approach is for me more of a culinary approach. It is about the power of those individual plant ingredients. There's a story behind every one. Um, if farm to table was skincare, this is as close as we can get. This is slow food.
Yeah.
This is slow food for the skin, and not because it's cool, not because it's trendy. This has been my life's work. I started working on formulas like this as a literal child, dealing with highly, highly sensitive, reactive skin as a small person, little tiny child, into my teenage years where my skin just erupted full body. When I was 18, my entire body was covered in blistering rashes. I'd sleep with socks pulled up to my shoulders, large men's socks pulled all the way up to my shoulders. Otherwise, I'd wake up in the morning covered in blood from itching in the night.
Mm.
So I had very, very extreme skin conditions. And I also had a wonderful hippie mother who taught
Who
me.
tried everything.
They tried everything. I mean, we had to try all the things that the doctors wanted to do. And then later that it came back to that in my teens and 20s when my skin was full body eruption. I tried uh, literally everything under the sun. I was part of a number of test panels for extreme skin situations until my entire body reacted to the panels that they were using and all the injections and steroids and creams and pills. that I was trying. So I tried all of the conventional treatments, and ultimately went back to what I learned as a kid from my mom. My mother would bring me down to the river. We'd sit on the rocks. We'd cover our bodies in clay. I learned that clay helps itch. I
Mm.
learned that green plants cool.
I love
Um,
a good mud session.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's wonderful as an exfoliant, as a cleanser for really everybody. But when you're very sensitive and when you have itch, histamine reactions, it could be something as simple as a bug bite. You put mud on it and it immediately helps to bring that down. Also the potato, also the onion. So it goes back. The links between food and skin are really endless.
Mm.
Which makes sense. It's why all over the world, far before the internet, before books, before we could transfer information between um, my culture here. I grew up in northern Minnesota. I currently live in Southern California. But for all time, women in India, women in Asia, women in South America, women in Canada, women here in California, where I'm from in Minnesota, we have all, wherever we are from, and whatever time period we're talking about, we have gathered clays and salts and herbs and spices and honey to cleanse and anoint and celebrate for birth, for death, for all of it, for all time. It is only in the last 100 years that we have introduced different kinds of formulas for cleansing specifically, and the marketing around it that have created an entire industry has really been like the last 50 years. But our skin has been along the whole ride.
Mm.
And so all I'm trying to do is what we have done from the beginning. And the advantage that I have over the women that came before me is I don't just have access to what grows in my yard, in my village, where I can walk on my own 2 feet, what I can keep fresh today because I don't have refrigeration or drying techniques or, any of the other things that we have available to us today. I get to source from everyone's village. I get to make relationships with vendors and suppliers and growers and farmers all over the entire planet. The whole planet is my backyard. And all of these growers, they're my community. That's been what we've been building for the last 15 years is these relationships with the vendors. And it feels like, no, it feels like being in a successful restaurant where I can tell you where every fish came from. I can tell you where that turnip came from. The relationship to the ingredient is the most important because it's what literally touches your skin. It's what's feeding in. The rest of it is storytelling. And gosh, I really hope to be a great storyteller because I think that the beauty space needs a different kind of story, a different kind of invitation into care. Um, that really is about what it feels like in here more than just what the expectation is of what we look like out there. So I'm here to tell the stories. I've done my part with the formula, and now our job is really to just show up in the shower, at the sink, at the desk, in our skin.
Yeah, I mean, we could go down a whole rabbit hole. I don't know how many, there's like more than 100 ingredients on your website. So anybody who wants to go peruse and get inspired, I mean, it's incredible. Um, but I wanted to talk about, I have the blue cocoon, which is just, I mean, the coolest color. And I mean, every single thing is just absolute fragrant explosion experience. But I mean, I don't know what I love most, but one thing I particularly love is how each product has a ritual. So I'd love if we could talk a little bit about ritual and how just having more intentionality around something can be so powerful and, what these rituals mean to you or how you might define it differently.
When you say that each product has a ritual, I can only guess what you're actually saying when you say that, because I think it depends. For some people, they can still pick up the blue cocoon, which is magical. It built our whole world. But there are people who could just pick it up and go, great, a lovely moisturizer and slap it on their skin on top of 26 other things that they've tried today, and carry on with their day. And there's a ritual in that. I would imagine if you're laying 26 of anything on yourself, that is a ritual.
I was gonna say.
Does that ritual make any sense to me? No. Does that ritual make sense to your skin? Probably not, but that's all right. That's your ritual. If you ask me, how do you use the blue cocoon? That's a different way of sharing ritual. Um, and that is actually even different than people expect. When you just held up the blue cocoon, right? It's this beautiful blue, balmy little heaven. So it looks like a solid, but it is designed to melt at body temperature. So it's actually only temporarily solid when we make it. Um, Fresh in our studio, it begins its life as this beautiful inky blue liquid. And we fill it into that jar, and then it gets set in a refrigerator where it sets, and then it becomes a solid concentrate temporarily while being shipped to you while it sits on your shelf. Now, it is August currently as we're recording this in California, so it's 9,000 degrees, and so is that truck that's shipping it to you. And so when the blue cocoon arrives to you, let's say you live in Arizona, um, it will arrive
Probably
to
be
you
liquid.
liquid. It's going to be liquid. And so if you can open it. Please don't spill it all over yourself. There's a sweet little note in there that says, slow down, which is a
I mean,
good
all the
message, even.
packaging is epic and definitely, it's the storytelling starts from the opening of the box.
I hope so. But you could open it to a liquid lake. And oh my gosh, there's actually nothing more beautiful than a face massage with the warm, liquidy blue cocoon. So even if yours arrives perfectly pristine, you might just want to mess it up. So get a nice little spoonful of it and leave it in the sunshine and have a really melty massage with the blue cocoon in its liquid form. That's pretty delicious. Uh, Sometimes it'll arrive in a solid. Excellent. When it goes into your hands, it's going to melt to a liquid. Sometimes it arrives as a liquid. Excellent. It's going to go into your hands and stay liquid. So it really doesn't matter the state it arrives in, but that can be confusing because most things that look like what you're holding are a balm. Balms are typically made with wax, fragrance, and color. So when you hold up something that looks like the blue cocoon, it looks like wax with blue dye and some kind of fragrance. The blue in the blue cocoon comes from blue tansy, which is actually a yellow flower. And the process of distillation it creates a chemical response in which the chemazoline content turns it blue. And so the it's a very cool chemical reaction. It's a little bit like when you're dyeing Easter eggs or something, or like if you have ever put an egg next to vinegar and it kind of turns like a bluish color. Nature just does really cool things. But the chemical properties that are inherent in the blue tansy flower in the process of distillation turn into this very inky, potent blue oil, which is very high in a number of different soothing extracts. Really, really wonderful for red, flushed, heated skin, sensitivity, itch, redness, pain. It's blue tansy and aromatherapy is used for stress, anxiety, sleep disorder, feeling out of control, anger, all of the hot
I would
emotions, right? Just
try.
bury your face in it. And what it does for the emotional body is the same thing that it's really doing for the skin body. And that's just one ingredient, but it does give that distinctive color, which makes it oh so clickable. And it rolls by in a pretty picture, very convenient. Um, but it also has made it trendy. When I found Blue Tansy, gosh, I found it first in a library book as a teenager, and it took me another couple decades to even be able to find a source. So it was a very big deal when I was able to try it in real life. I found a sample in my early 20s and about lost my mind. And when it finally made it into the Blue Cocoons formula, um, which was only a year or so after our launch in 2011. It was the first of its kind on the market. Now, if you search Blue Tansy products, you can find a bajillion of them. You can walk into a CVS pharmacy and find products that are labeled Blue Tansy. Ooh, tread carefully, my friends.
Mm.
Um, do you ever hear about the olive oil studies? I always go back
Yes.
to this because when there's something as basic as olive oil, and well, they've just long story short, they did all these tests on olive oils in Whole Foods. Whole Foods known for its sourcing, known for its vetting, known for all of that. And I forget what the percentage was, but it was a huge percentage of the olive oils that were listed as 100% olive oils were actually significantly cut with other cheaper oils. Um, it was a big expose. Anyway, drama. So if that's happening in olive oil, what do you think is happening with some of these more rare, more expensive, um, wild harvested ingredients? Believe me, you cannot get that at CVS. And the amount of products that claim to have blue tansy is shocking because blue tansy grows very specifically in one area of Morocco.
Mm.
It is now being grown domestically, not domestically, but non-wild. But it is originally a wild plant, like we would see dandelions or something. And so it's not meant to be a cultivated plant. They're cultivating it now, but the actual properties that make it powerful, it's the fighter in the plants in these wild herbs that grow up through concrete, that grow on the sides of roads, that grow in difficult situations. The actual tenacity of that plant to make it through that wild growth is what makes it so powerful. The chemical components that are in those plants are powerful because they had to fight.
Yeah.
And so it's like your garden.
Have you read Pharmacy with an F by Dr. Daphne? I think it's Daphne Miller. And
Oh, I haven't yet.
she talks about this extensively, how, I mean, this is one theme and another of like how important it is to eat, like to not be so afraid of the dirt, because the dirt actually has also information and intelligence for the digestive system on how to break down these things even better, and how important it is that the plants have to, go through their journey to have the ultimate level of benefits to us, in terms of, yeah, whether it's nutrients or like you're saying that the chemicals, and particularly it's the same with building blocks. We're eating, you are what you eat. Your skin is becoming whatever you're feeding it. You're giving it the
Yes,
building blocks.
exactly. There's information in there, and plants are smart, and our bodies are smart, and there's a compatibility in that. And it's the same thing with nutrition. Again, which we're just going to go back to the farming and the food because it's totally the same with gardening, and where you plant that carrot matters so much. It matters so much. You can grow carrots in factories, but the nutritional difference between something grown in just a giant warehouse of, monstrous carrot operation versus a small organic farm on land that has been turned over and lived in and fed all kinds of different nutrients and life and animal droppings and wildness in it is just inherently different. It looks like a carrot. It sounds like a carrot. It's not the same carrot. Um, so I think a lot about that. But the power of the blue cocoon, that's the power of every piece in the collection, is the power behind every single ingredient within it, and not just the flashy ones like blue tansy has become. Also, P.S. Even when blue tansy is real inside of a formula, it's usually at a ratio that is uh, used enough to color it as a colorant and not enough to make an impact on the skin. And then if the quality is questionable, that's actually great. So, and unless you can be very certain of the quality, and that's true of all essential oils. I have a lot of clients who just have really had a hard time with essential oils in general, because it can be so difficult to have any insight as to the safety and the sourcing and the quality of those oils and used haphazardly or with sources that have been diluted or adulterated, there's sensitization risk, especially for sensitive people. And so I think about that a lot because my primary demographic is very sensitive, and yet I want to feed you all flowers. And essential oils are actually essential in these formulas, but I could give somebody else my recipe, and with different sourcing, I wouldn't sign off on it. The
Mm,
source really is everything. I could print these recipes on the internet, um, and everyone could take their stab, but without access to the sourcing that we've spent, well, me personally, I've spent almost 2 decades securing a
cultivating.
number of these sources and building this direction. So yes, tread carefully, choose your makers wisely, and test and test and test if you're sensitive on your own skin in the safety uh, of that.
Yeah. So a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders listen to this podcast. I'd love for you to kind of go back, I don't know, a decade to some moment where you were like this close to giving it all up because it felt like it wasn't going to happen, or it just seemed, uh, that it was just the doubt crept in, and what helped you, if anything, or sort of your reflections on being a leader now in this industry, all of you've gone through to get where you
Hmm. Well, here's something fun. When you said think back a decade to when I thought it wasn't going to work. A decade ago, I was sure it was going to work.
are. I love it.
So, let me see timeline. So I started working consistently on finalizing the formulas for this collection around 2007, 2008. Made the decision to really put these eggs in one basket. I hired my packaging designer at the end of 2009. I met my husband in 2010. And in 2011, we launched our website. 2012, we launched our first retailer. Let me see. Then it wasn't until 2012 we were in retailers. That started early. But this was before anyone was talking about green beauty. Clean beauty wasn't a term yet in the beauty space. Green beauty was having a moment just because of me and people like me. There was a handful of other brands coming up at this time where green meant plants. Green was specific, it's a color. It was about plant material. And so there was a number of makers like myself who were really coming back to the power of these plant forward formulas um, for purpose, not just so they could have a no list of what shouldn't be in there because we weren't really on that topic yet. In fact, green beauty was a joke. Journalists, press people, that was cute. Um, Brands like mine weren't a thing. There was a handful of naturalish brands in Whole Foods and farmers markets and some real cool makers on Etsy doing cool stuff, but like not with the packaging and having to pass regulations and can't sell all over the world. And and I came in and well, I'm 42 today, but I started working on this, I was 25. And when we launched in 2011, I was 28. And thank God for that young, sassy person. Because one, I didn't think that anyone was going to get what I was talking about anyway. Um, I was an odd child. I grew up with funny hippie family and conservative Midwest farming community. I was used to nobody really speaking my language and not being understood. So I didn't think that when I started sharing these formulas that anybody else would care. And so what I knew was if no one else was going to see it and no one else was going to care, then what would happen if I just made the best thing that I could imagine?
Mm.
What if I just made the most beautiful thing that I could imagine for me? And what I was coming from was I had been working for many years in food. I had also had a chapter as a model. I had had a chapter as a makeup artist. I had been on sets. I'd been working with skin. I'd been working with people. Um, and since childhood, I had been making uh, variations of formulas for the skin. Started as like a little kid mixing clays and plants in my mom's garden. As a teenager, learning how to make things from the library books I would check out from my little town. In my 20s, working with women walking through cancer, chemotherapy, radiation treatments, severe acne, psoriasis, dermatitis, eczema, all of the inflammatory conditions. And so I was making bespoke formulas for individuals who'd come from skin like me, skin like my mom, skin like my grandpa. And I knew that my formulas worked. I knew that when skin was fed and fed and fed over and over with body resonant ingredients that were about nourishing and calming and soothing. And then I made it feel pleasurable and smell good and feel good. When you're in there, you actually want to do it. But I would go into my clients' bathrooms, and these were women who had either been throwing 800 things at their skin, everything you could possibly click a button and buy, everything you could buy off of a shelf, everything their doctors had recommended, dermatologists had recommended, sisters and articles, and every other person had recommended. Um, or they had given up altogether. They no longer used any products on their skin. They said, skincare is not for me. It's too painful. It's too expensive. It's too traumatizing to try something and have a reaction. And so they had just detached altogether. And so I would walk into the bathrooms and I would have to take stock. Which one are they? Um, but what both would have in common, whether they had completely left the body altogether and stopped the care, or they were just throwing the entire kitchen sink at it in hope of change, was I would find in their bathroom there'd be something beautiful. They'd have a perfume bottle that they had never actually sprayed, but was pretty sitting up in a window. They'd have the Tom Ford lipstick out on display. They'd have, a little vase somewhere or a little note to themselves, a little postage. I could see that there was a yearning for some kind of feel good in there, a little bit of belief that it can feel good in here. And so I would just find a way to feed that a little bit and feed that a little bit and feed that a little bit. But I would open their drawers and their drawers were just full of anti-itch cream and anti-age cream. And then they would tuck my little potions in there next to them. And they were just in little, stickered apothecary jars. And and I just went, why isn't anybody making something beautiful for these women? Why is it that they think that the only thing for them is an anti-itch cream or an anti-age cream? Where is the beautiful part? Of course, they don't think they're beautiful. Nothing that correlates with the word beauty, what we think of as beauty in our culture, beauty in skincare, beauty in the marketplace of beauty, none of that is beautiful. And all of these anti-messaging just feels anti-human. And so when I started thinking about what would it mean to actually package these formulas, I just thought, well, what if it could be the most beautiful thing you could imagine? The most beautiful packaging, the most beautiful ingredients. I want heavy, light protective glass that really does something for the ingredient at its core. But I also want it to be sexy. I want it to be in your room and have you go, yes, that's me. That's the kind of woman I am. And then when you cover yourself in body oil, I want you to prance around that room. Not because anyone's watching you, but because you cannot help but move your hips. You cannot help but shake your ass. You cannot help but massage your tits because it feels good and because you smell amazing. And then when you walk out into the world, yes, everyone goes, ooh, what has she got? I want what she's got. But what she's got is that feeling. Anytime I've ever looked at a woman and said, I want what she's got, it's because she's moving from her spine. It's because there's like something erupting up out of her. It's not because her skin looks great. I watch her erupting and then I notice her skin.
Yeah,
But
I totally
first,
agree.
it's how is she moving?
Energy.
Yes. And so I think the whole point of the shower is to get you in there so that you remember what you sound like. You remember what you feel like in there. And the body oil is just enough excuse to touch yourself long enough for that to happen. When you massage your face, it's just long enough to spread out that moisturizer and get you into the soft spots, the tender spots, the parts that need touch and care. I think that my jaw gets sore so that I massage it. I think if my jaw didn't get sore, I wouldn't massage it. And so thank God I get a sore jaw. Thank God I've still got TMJ. I've had TMJ since I was 5 years old. I would really love to not have a tight face, not have a tight jaw, not have a tight body. But I also know that it is this tight jaw, tight body, tight mind that brings me back to my tools every single day, gets me in the shower whether I want to or not, gets me to touch my face whether I want to or not. There's enough vanity in there that if I don't wash my face, I'll get breakouts or I'll get rashes or I'll get itch. If I'm not doing dry brush or scrubby gloves in the shower, if I'm not using moisturizer every day, I get itchy, I get rashy, my skin will revert to where it was 20 years ago. I have healed a lot, and it is not a start, stop, done deal. It is a daily, daily, daily operation over and over and over again. And to bring it back to food, I use this all the time, but it's like doing your skincare on a Sunday once a month is like having broccoli on a Sunday once a month and calling that good. It's nutrition, daily repetition. Consistency is the whole thing. And we need to eat our vegetables so our guts work. We need to feed our skin so our skin works. Um, but the point is to put the thing in your mouth. The point is to show up and feed.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that analogy is really powerful, layered with what you were talking about before, in that, pleasure and beauty being the essence of making broccoli an enjoyable experience. And it's nourishing and enjoyable, and they're both equally important to the magic.
Hmm. Yes. And broccoli can be so pleasurable.
Oh, I have so many great broccoli recipes. I'm already thinking, I'm like, well, May, this was absolutely incredible. I love how you storytell. I love how you tell this whole beautiful. I mean, you gave me so many ideas just by the use of wording, and yeah, thank you for this chat. Is there anything you wanted to leave us with? I know we're going to be including all the links in the show notes, and I know I'm going to be subscribing to your newsletter and definitely keep ordering. And I'm looking forward to picking the product that's going to be in the swag bag for our Alta Vita retreats down in
Oh,
Mexico.
yes.
But I'd love to, if there's one thing you want to leave us with that you haven't already said.
Hmm. That's it. Just go get in your shower. Really, just go
Bring
get
it
in your
back to the
shower.
shower.
When you think that you don't have time for the shower, that is when you actually most need that shower. And I always tell my people, if your inner talk is having a hard time with that, I get real chatty and real judgmental. My little timekeeper really loves to talk shit when it's time to go do that. Um, and so if your own words are too much, it's really helpful to just tap play on a song, have a short playlist, a few songs. Uh, Maybe something that really does make you want to move your hips, maybe something that you like to sing when you were 9 or when you were 16 or when you were 29, some pivotal moment in your life where you feel the most yourself, some go-to song. Um, it could be a few. Choose a few so you have different moods. But wake up as soon as that shit talker starts, tap play. Put some other words in there. And if you don't have that available, I always return to just thank you. Just say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you over and over. And uh, and I mean that in the most literal way. Sometimes get into the water, get into the shower, let the water cover your entire body, and then starting at your toes, Touch your toes. Thank you. Touch your ankle. Thank you. Touch your knees. Thank you. And work your way up your body. Just say thank you over and over and over again. Let the words take up space.
Perfection. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Wellness as a Way of Life for Women Building the Future. I'm Megan Swan, and I'm honored to support your journey to well-being and leadership. For more insights, resources, and connections, subscribe to my Substack through the link in this episode. It is your go-to hub for wellness strategies, and there's free and premium content. Let's keep building a brighter, healthier future together. Until next time, take care and lead well.